I'm Saul Kaplan. I'm lucky enough to be directing this production of Mauritius. This is my fourth or fifth show that I've directed here at the Guild. I'm excited about Mauritius because it's a very strong script. Theresa writes some very, very gritty stuff. She does a lot of television writing. She writes Law and Order, and she really has a good feel for seedy characters, for people who live just kind of below the level of society. She's got a good ear for that. They're just a fascinating group of people, and they're not the kind of people that we really want to run into every day. The most exciting thing, though, is the cast that I have to work with, four of whom are very well known to the theater audiences around here. And among the four of them, they've all got multiple Daytonys and Murphys and, every kind of acting award that this community gives out. The four of them have collected time and again.
My name is Amy Brooks, and this is my third show that I've done with the Guild. The first was Catfish Moon back at the old theater on Salem Avenue, and the second was The Liaisons d'Anjou, which was the first show here in the new space on Wayne Avenue. In Mauritius, I'm playing a character named Jackie. Jackie's 25 years old, and she's somebody who life has kind of kicked around a lot. She's sort of an underdog. When we see her at the top of the show, she doesn't have a lot of confidence. She can't really speak up for herself. She's tough, but she's shy. And when the show begins, she's just buried the only person in the world who ever really loved her, her mother. So Jackie is someone who doesn't have a lot to lose anymore, and that makes her dangerous and unpredictable. So that as the show goes on, we see a lot of different dimensions to Jackie, and it actually becomes pretty explosive because she starts to stand up for herself and becomes dangerous.
My name is Alex Carmichael, and I play the role of Dennis in Mauritius. I've done quite a bit of work with the Guild. This will be my first show at the new location, which is pretty exciting for me. All my previous shows were at the location on Salem Avenue. And I've worked with most of the cast members and the director at one point or another, so it was good to get back into a project with them. My role in this show, Dennis, he's one of the three men that get involved with the two half-sisters all over these two rare and valuable stamps that are discovered. Dennis is interesting for me because he starts out with one set of intentions and goals, and through the course of the play, his goals change, and he becomes a different person at the end than where he started, and it was a situation that he did not expect in the least. So it was good for me in that aspect with this character because I get to play an interesting arc with Dennis from where he begins and to where he ends up.
I am Theresa Conair. I am playing the part of Mary in this production. I've done several different shows in the Guild. This is my fourth show. I was in Speaking in Tongues, An Act of the Imagination, and Kimberly Akimbo. Mary is somebody I think that most people will relate to. I think that she's somebody that she's in your life. She's very structured, but she tries to be fair, and she cares about her family. Unfortunately, things don't always work out for the best.
My name is Jeff Berkman. I am playing Sterling. I like to think that Sterling is reflective of his character. He is a man who regards himself quite highly, even though he may not actually seem that way to the audience. One of the things that Sterling says about himself is that he lives in the present. It is the only moment that exists for him. And I relate to that not only as an actor, because of course when you are acting, you are, hopefully, in the moment. Everybody else has somewhat complex motives. Sterling is pretty well focused. He wants one thing. He wants those two stamps. I've been active with the Dayton Theater Guild for 20 years or so, acting and directing. It is my favorite place to work, mostly because of the space. It's very intimate. It really draws the audience right into it.
And I'm even more excited about the fifth member of the cast, Pat Santucci. He's new. Nobody at the Guild has seen him. He hasn't been on stage for a while. He's got a good background, but he's new to the audience. He does a terrific job. It's always good to bring a new face out onto the stage, and I think the audiences are really going to connect with him.
Hello, I'm Pat Santucci. This is my debut production with the Theater Guild. It's actually been 23 years since I've acted on a public stage, so it's a bit of a treat for me to get back out there. I was very excited about Mauritius. When I read the script, I thought that the character interactions were kind of the fascinating part about it. There's something to like in every one of them. There's going to be a part of the show where the audience is in sympathy with each of the characters. And that's a lot more fun, I think, than sort of a straight-up protagonist, antagonist, and sides. My character, Philip, in particular, I'm very similar to Philip. It's not quite typecasting, but there's enough similarities for us to understand. When I tell people that the show opens with me ignoring someone for a minute and a half by reading, and they ask me when does the acting start. That's sort of a thing that I would do. And that was, it's a lot of fun to get into his head. It's a person who has a knowledge hobby. He's a philatelist, a stamp collector, and so his knowledge can actually be expressed in a physical form. And that kind of thought, that kind of obsession, is a personality that you don't see the passion in very often. And it's very interesting, I think, to bring that on the stage, because there is something that Philip cares about very deeply. It's just the manner of expression is not the sort of thing that's typically on stage.
I like these characters because they are, by and large, very real. I think audiences will find that they will immediately relate to all these characters as people that they either know in their lives or certainly have seen on TV, given the fact that the lady who wrote this show has written a lot of TV.
This show may sound like it might be droll, but it is very compelling. It is very sharp and dangerous. And I really think it's a very interesting show, and I think people will be surprised and delighted in an off kind of way.
Mauritius is a great show because it isn't just about stamps. Stamps are almost a MacGuffin in this show. It really could be anything. It could be anything of value. And the stamps are the instigator of the plot, but it's really about what happens with these people when they come together, and all of their very goals sort of collide in the center, and we all have our own intentions and what we want out of the situation. And the audience gets to see how it all ends up, and it's really exciting. I think they'll really enjoy it.
What's compelling about the show to me is how raw the emotions are. The stamps are really just a vehicle for the family drama that's happening between Jackie and her older sister Mary.
So I'm excited about the production. I'm excited about the script. I think it's going to be an enjoyable show, or at least a show that people will appreciate, and I hope everybody comes and sees it. Twice.